What's up, YouTube? This is Ankit, and I'm back again with another new video on our Grand Python series. Now, in the previous video, we have discussed about an important immutable data type that is a tuple. And in this video, I'm going to describe all the basic but the fundamental functions that are used in Python. So, without talking much, so as I have already said that in today's video we are going to learn all the basic functions of Python. I think the first and the most important function that we need to learn first is the print function. The print function is the first step of every Python programmer to learn because with the use of print function you can print anything in the console. So wait, let me give an example and start today's tutorial. If I print here, let me give my channel's name, okay, Ankit Day, and if I then run the code, you will see that exactly the argument which I have given inside the print function was printed on the console. So let me tell you one thing. The inside the print function, inside the parenthesis, anything you give, that is known as an argument, okay. And here my argument is my channel's name. So this is given in a string value. If you don't know that what are string integer, check out my previous videos. I have video about the four immutable data types basically used in Python. Okay, so now let me try with the string value. If I enter 23 and if I then run it, you will see exactly the 23 was printed as desired. So print function generally prints anything that you have given inside, given as an argument, okay. So let me show you another example, okay. Now here if I do something like this and then if I give a channel's name, okay, and if I then close the parenthesis and if I then run the code, you can see that hello world, and it's added up with Ankit Day. Okay, so now this is generally known as a string concatenation, okay, and I'll explain it all but not in this video. This video is only going to be on the basic functions, okay. So I think this must be enough for the understanding the print function. So now I am moving on to the second function, that is a type. If you have seen my previous videos, I think you must be knowing that what is the type function. Now let me use a print, okay, print function to print the type of 23. Okay, so if I print the type of 23, then what type of function it is, you can see it is giving class of int. Now Python has developed or designed inside it some of the classes through which it can identify its values or the arguments that are given inside the type function, okay. So in this way Python identifies it. And if I now try giving hello world, okay, wait, sorry, I am giving spelling mistakes nowadays. Okay, so if I type like this and if I try printing, it's saying class str represents for string. You guys must be knowing it. This is the only work for type function. And if I now give a float, okay, you guys must be waiting for it. And if I if I now give float and if I then run the code, then you can see it's giving me that it is a float function. So this is the basic work of type function. So I think you guys all have understood because you have seen my previous videos while I was using the type function for determining the type of the strings, lengths, etc. Now let me introduce another function, that is a length. Now if I print the length of our channel, not our channel, now hello world, and if I then run the code, it's giving me 11. Now what actually happened, the length function generally gives the length of the word. Now you can check the length, that h is 1 2 3 4 5, then you must always count the spaces too. It's 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you can see that there are 11 words and it's returning me with this with the same value. Now let us change this, okay, to our channel's name. Okay, they, let me remove one parenthesis. I think I've given one extra. Yeah. And if I run it, it's giving me 9. Why? You can count yourself. ANKIT is 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9. So exactly what we thought of are, most importantly, do not forget to count on the spaces, because the spaces also act as a character in Python when you are determining with the length. Okay, so this is the basic work for length. Now you guys must be thinking that why I'm always using the print function. The print function I'm using because to print the value of that length of means length of the argument on the console. Okay, so I'm basically printing the value of the length of that argument. That is the work which I am doing. Now I am going to give, okay, so let me show you what happens when I give an integer inside a length. If I do like this, and if I do, it's giving me traceback error. Object of type int has no length. Now you obviously guys must be knowing that integer value can't have any length, because it's not a string, right? So you can't have any length. It's only a character, only represented as a single value, so it doesn't have a length. Okay, I think this must be enough. Only try the length function with string, remember that. Okay, then you cannot use any float, or you cannot use any type of string. Okay, let me show you once with the float function too. Sorry. If I then run, you can see again the float has no argument length. So this is, you can try this functions at home. Okay, this must be beneficial for you. So this is all about the length function. I think you must have understood it well. Now moving on to the second, that is the ID. What is the ID? If I give you 56 and if I then run it, it's printing the ID. Now what is ID? ID is generally the memory address where this value is stored. Now if I do one thing, if I remove this, and every values, every strings, every integers have their individual IDs. Okay, now if I try running this code, you can see this is given. And now hold on a second, I'll also print sorry, making mistakes. If I print the ID of something like no, hello world. Okay, and if I then run the code, then you can see that both of these IDs are different. That basically means that these types of IDs are generated when this type of IDs are generally the memory functions where, or the memory address where they are located. Okay, this is the functionality of the ID. It generally displays the memory address of where the function is located. Now let me move on to the fifth. Yeah, I think fifth. Yes, fifth. Now it's the ABS, which stands for the short form of absolute. Now if I give here minus 67, and if I then switch off it, and if I then start running, it's giving me 67, which is exactly the absolute value. Now it's the, generally, if you guys know maths very well, or if you've taken maths in your for your further studies, you must be knowing what's absolute values, right? So it's 67, and if I try printing absolute value of anything like this, okay, if I try with the absolute value like this, it's showing me error because string cannot have any absolute value. You all guys must be knowing the string doesn't have any absolute value. Now if I try with a float, that is 67.89, and see, it's giving me the exact value. Means any negative integer will be converted to a positive integer if you apply the absolute function, as the same as we have used these functions in maths. If I try again, it's giving me 67.81, just converting the negative sign to a positive value. Now this is the absolute function, and let me move on to a last function, that is round. Round is 56.89. Now round basically works with round basically works with the float values, because it rounds off the float value to your desired wish. Now if you print the round of 56.89, and if you run it, it's giving me 57. Why? Because 89, check that whether the last part, that is the decimal part, is greater than 50 or not. Greater than 50 in sense, you just check that number of digits here. If there are two digits, then it must be greater than 50. If there is one digit in the decimal place, it must be greater than 5. If there are three digits, then it must be greater than 500. Do check once. Now if I write this as 189, okay, here I write 189, and if I then print it, it'll give me 56 only. See, it's giving me 56. Why this happened? Because 189 is less than 500. So remember that this parameter will be judged on the basis of its length, that how many are there, how many digits are there. If there are two digits, then check then check or compare with 50. If there are one, then compare with 5. If 3, then 500. If 4, then 5000. Okay, now see, if I give 6, 7, 8, and 8, 8, it's greater than 5000. Now if I print it, it'll give me 57. See, it's giving me 57, exactly what I told you. Now round function also has a thing. If I give a comma and if I give you 2, what does it does? Do comment me that what it does before checking the answer. Okay, see, it's giving 56.68. Now what exactly happened? It has rounded off the value up to two decimal places. Now it's giving 56.6788. Now 88 is greater than 500, so 5688 is tending towards 58. So 68 will be the value, that 56.68, because 788 is much greater than 500. So 788 will round off to 1000, and then it will give us the character, that's 68. Now what if I do here up to 3 decimal places, and if I then run, it's giving me 679. Now number of decimal places which you want in the at the last is generally the argument you need to be passing in the after placing a comma. Now this value, this 3, this 3 is generally telling that how many decimal places if you want. If I give here some of the random numbers like this, and if I tell it, the program, to round off to 3, and if I then run it, see, it's giving me 56.679. It doesn't bother that how big the decimal place is, it will round off to 3. And if I give it a rounding off to 4, okay, see, it's rounding off to 4. Okay, you can try these functions out at your home. And another important function which I am going to talk about today is the input function, which is a very important function. Now it's the last function. Let me show you with an example again. If I write here input, and if I give here anything, wait a minute, if I print the input, if I try printing the input, okay, and if I run the code, it's giving me blank. You can input here anything. Now if I write my name Ankit there, and if I click here, it's giving me the exact same thing. Now what is it is doing? It's generally taking the value, it's generally taking the input value and then printing it. Now if I do here like this, that if I give here a string value, that writing that enter a string, okay, now like this, and if I now printing it, it will show me with a very nice input ratio. And if it is wanting me to input the value, that please enter a string. Now if I give here Ankit, it will just print the string value. If I give here Ankit, see, it's printing Ankit. Now exactly what input function does, input function takes the argument. Whenever I run the code, input function takes in a input value, and then after taking the input, we generally give decisions that what must be done with the input. Now if I again run the code, enter a string, I can enter anything. If I enter 789 and if I then run it, see, it's entering 789. Now in this way we can use input for many of the cases, test cases. Now I'm showing you another thing, like if I try giving an input, And if I am waiting now, if I run the code, and you can eventually enter a float value to you, it's 23.78, and if I run, see, it's giving me 23.78 back. So in this way, print input function works. Now, yes, in this way input function works. Now I can also check for the type of the input function. Okay, if I give it type, and if I then just collaborating everything, okay, so that you can also remember that what I've taught previously. Enter the string. Okay, now giving colon. Yes, like this you can enter anything inside that input. Don't only think that I am writing that enter the string, that only you have to use. You can use anything inside the string. Okay, I'm just giving an example to you. Input enter the string. Okay, or you can see I'm changing it. Okay, I have used previously that enter the, and now enter a string. Okay, and if I try running it, sorry, oh, sorry, I have mistakenly forgotten one parenthesis. Okay, now it's okay. And if I do here, yes, you see enter a string. If I write here Ankit, and if I then print it, yeah, it's seeing that class str. So this is all for today. I think you have understood that what input function basically does. You can do anything with that input. We'll talk much more about that in our previous videos, when we will go to conditional statements, or start about that what are loops, something else, and doing something with the input, adding, subtracting, all that stuff. So I think this is enough for the video. Feel free to comment down if you have any queries regarding what I've taught today, and I assure you that you are not basically going to have if you are a brave child. Now if you have any questions in your mind, do ask me in the comments, or you can even contact me in my social media accounts. Link will be in the description below. Okay, so if you feel that this video was informative, do like, share, and subscribe my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon for getting regular updates related to Python. Thank you for watching, guys. Ankit De signing off. Peace.